Hello, boys and girls. Today's topic is an interesting one. Why is the Earth the center of the spiritual development for the whole universe? It's a very interesting one. Of course, there are different living beings in the whole universe. We can look at it not only on Earth, even though on Earth we have so many living beings, from very little developed living beings like plants and insects, and slowly going for more intelligent living beings like animals. And then we have the human beings, like the most developed living beings on Earth. And then if we go a little bit further, like looking all around in the universe, of course we can find humanoid living beings which are less developed than us, and we can of course find living beings which are more developed than the human beings on Earth. And there are millions of layers of development, some more developed, some even more developed, like you can say like kind of angels and kind of half gods, and some living beings which are having huge potential, mental and physical potential, much more developed than us human beings. But there is the trick. There is a tricky spot in all these levels of beings in the universe. And the tricky spot is that to move from that level of spiritual development where they are to another level, you can do it only if you are born on Earth. That's a very, very, very interesting one. And it makes the human life so precious. I mean, all these knowledge, it comes from Maharishi's Vedic science. So I need to express my gratitude to His Holiness Maharishi Mahesh Yogi and the Vedic masters of the holy tradition, who brought us the Vedic science and the pure knowledge. You can learn about this nowhere else. It just comes from Vedic science, and only these Vedic enlightened gurus, masters, who saw the reality, only they can bring this knowledge out. You can't find it. You can't find it anywhere, and it makes a human life very precious. Human life is very precious. Every second of human life is extremely precious. So we shall not waste our life on some things which are not valuable and which are not bringing us I'm sorry for higher evolution. Let's say that there are some living beings which are lower levels, less intelligent than the human being. Slowly they develop on Earth. They die and then they born again, and they get higher and higher. Or some animals, they born again and again. Of course, the reincarnation is included in the whole story. I mean, of course, you can believe or not believe, that's another story, but there are circles of born and dying, and then again born, and then the evolution is going on. And then, for example, okay, the lower beings than the human being on Earth, they are not so interesting for us, because of course they are somewhere there, some gnomes, some little whatever, little beings in the forest or wherever. Okay, so let's speak about those beings which are more developed than the human being. Of course, you can imagine that there are these beings who are traveling around the cosmos, visiting us, and there are also thousands of different layers of intelligence and ability what they have. And again, the trick is coming, even though they have huge mental potential and huge different kind of abilities like telekinesis and moving objects and telepathy and doing things with their body and mentally materializing things out of thin air, etc., etc. They can live longer, much longer than a human being. Like let's say the normal age for the human being, even though we are made to live like 120 years, something like that. But okay, the human age is growing slowly. It's lasting longer in the human history. So now it's 80, 90 years around. So these higher beings who have higher abilities than the human being, they live longer. Maybe they live 300-400 years or even 900 years, much longer. And they have all these special abilities, and they have all kinds of stuff what we don't. But there is one thing, and because of that thing, they are envious of the all human race on this little dust particle in all this universe, this infinite universe, with billions of different living beings, and half of them are lower developed than us, and half of them are higher, more developed than us. The one thing which is because of what they are envious of human being born on earth is the ability to have this maximum development, the maximum spiritual development, to raise the consciousness to the 100%, to the maximum. This thing can only happen in human physiology. We need to underline it 10 times. It is so important. So in human physiology, with a human brain, there is built in. That's why it's somehow, all the Bible say that the God have created the human being on its own picture and etc. And it's literally it's that. It's that. So the potential to grow to the maximum level, it's only in human body. All these living beings which are on much higher level of intelligence and ability, they are stuck on that level for, let's say, 1,000 years. They travel all around the cosmos with the spaceship, and they learn about other beings, and they enjoy. The enjoyment level is much higher. They don't suffer so much because they are more in accord with laws of nature in the whole universe. But they can't go higher. They are stuck on their level. They are higher than us, but still they are stuck. They can only move forward on this ladder of evolution if they die and if they come back to earth and reborn as a human being. That's the greatest trick in the whole universe, which is so infinite, and billions of living beings living all around in different kind of planets and galaxies and planetary systems, and they need to be born in human physiology to be able to develop their brain and develop consciousness to the maximum. Of course, even for human beings, they need to reincarnate, they need to die, because there is stress in physiology, in mind and body, and you need to release the stresses and strain in whatever you can use techniques like meditation, yoga, or you can live like the masses, how they live. They just eat and go to work and have sex and having kids and uh, and just dying and then born again and then coming, doing the same thing, life after life, life after life. And the development, there is some slight development, if there is some development. And after many years, they develop their consciousness, and if they purify, when they become aware that actually the goal of being born on earth is not just to eat and have sex and build houses and gain some money, but there is a sort of thing which is called spiritual development and reaching higher states of consciousness. So when the human being becomes alert and aware of that thing, and he puts his conscious awareness on it and purposefully doing his life to develop his consciousness, then it becomes faster. Using a meditation technique or yoga, it increases the speed of the spiritual development, and then several lives, and then it reaches to the end and becomes enlightened. It means enlightened means releases all the stress and strain, and the mental potential of the brain becomes on the maximum level. And then the purpose of being born in human physiology gets fulfilled in this body. So when the soul reaches the maximum development, then he does not need to born again, because he reached the goal. He got the play. He got to the maximum ability to play in this universe, and then he just enjoys while in the physiology. And all these other beings, which are like basically much more intelligent and highly developed than us, and they live longer, they are stuck on that some level which is higher than us, but still not the maximum. So Maharishi Mahesh said, because they people asked all kinds of questions, and people asked Maharishi, so what if we see some aliens, somewhere coming down or something? Then Maharishi said that they don't have much to give us, which is more valuable than what we have. They are envious. They can have some properties which are higher than our abilities, but they don't have the ability to reach the maximum development of the mind and body coordination and the mind potential. They need to die and born again in human physiology. So the main message of this little discussion about evolution and the whole cosmos, and people are so much, some people are so much amazed, and these aliens and how they travel. And just a short little digression on the topic of traveling in between planetary systems and solar systems and galaxies and far away galaxies. Some people think that, oh yeah, the light year is so much speed, and just our galaxy is, I don't know, 100,000 light year wide, and how they can travel in between galaxies. So I can easily tell you that they don't travel with the speed of light, which is very much bound and certain speed, but they travel much faster, because their mental capacity is much higher, and the consciousness is influencing the matter, so they can travel much faster than the speed of light. If you think about that, you can think and imagine that you are there, and you can imagine that you are there, and if the whole universe is just the blueprint, just the print out of our own consciousness. So a living being who is who has a highly developed consciousness, more highly developed than us human beings. I mean, when we say human beings, we generally think about the masses who use 5 to 10% of their mental capacity. So by the more highly developed mental capacity, they can travel faster than the light, and that's why they can cross huge distances in the universe, and it's not a problem. And the machine, the technology is also very highly developed, so it's not a problem for them to even to change, go from one dimension to another dimension, and this traveling is not absolutely not a problem. That is not a problem, and there is so many things which are not problem. But one thing is problem is to jump higher in the on the ladder of the evolution. So of course they need to wait. They live their life on that level for, I don't know, let's say 1,000 years, in counting in human years, and when they die, then they born as a human being, and then they have the possibility to go to the maximum spiritual development. That is why it is very important to use our life properly. Of course, all kinds of drugs and alcohol and other kinds of things which are damaging the physiology and damaging the mental capability, the brain physiology of the human beings. Of course, it's not recommended, because if there is evolution, there is also a process which can be reversed. So a human being can reduce the speed with his actions, damaging his physiology and breaking, sort of trying to break his own evolution, or doing bad things like, I don't know, killing masses of people, and or doing something not evolutionary to other people, creating suffering to other people and to himself. With that kind of actions, people can slow down their own evolution, but they can't stop. Of course, they can't stop, because there is this very simple little analogy that the whole evolution in the universe, and the Earth is just a little dust particle in all this flow of the whole universe. The evolution is just flowing from the top of the mountain towards the ocean, and there is no power, there is no capability of anyone to stop that. So either you let it flow, or you try to do some activities to stop the evolution by ignorance, by lack of knowledge. And then you will break your hands and legs, and again the flow will continue to bring you to the ocean. So there is only the huge flow of evolution. And even though we look around and see lots of negativity in all countries, in every country there is, even in Switzerland, there is not everything perfect. So even though there are lots of negativities all around, but that is on the surface. The stress and strain is going out of, trying to go out of the people, trying to go out of the societies, and the clashes are happening, and the stresses are hitting each other and trying to release, and the evolution is going on. Nothing can stop the evolution. So it's going on, and those wise living beings who are aware of this situation, they can increase even the speed to swim with the flow, so they can go faster towards the ocean, like the river is flowing down from the top of the mountain and ending in the ocean. So the individual life, which is like on the surface looks like separated from this unity of almighty intelligence, which is covering and permeating everything, just on the surface, on the gross level, on the gross level of perception, it looks like that we individuals, we are separated from that with the skin and we have nothing to do. But when you go into the consciousness, which is sort of abstract in the same time, abstract and real in the same time, but it's like a fog, and you go deeper in your own consciousness, your influence and the unity is growing with this unmanifest infinite creative intelligence which is permeating the whole universe. And then by transcending, by going deep and touching that level of infinite consciousness, infinite creativity, you infuse that infinite creativity into your life more and more, more and more. And it's also interesting that people say, "Oh, read some book." To read books is very good because you open your mind, you get some more knowledge, but actually, by reading a book, you are not getting a new knowledge. If you analyze it from another perspective, for example, you take one book and you read it, you take out a certain amount of knowledge from that book, and you put it down and you take it in a year, you read the same book again, and if your consciousness is growing by itself and you have new experiences, you will get some other kind of connections, some other knowledge from the same book. So the text and the book have not changed, but the knowledge what you are like taking out of it has changed. So the knowledge is actually not taken out of the book, but actually the knowledge is in our own consciousness, and our own consciousness is developing by time, and you just see from around you, you realize the same amount of knowledge which is developed in our own brain and consciousness. So it's just projecting the amount of intelligence from inside is projecting outside, and you think falsely that oh, you read that book and you got this and this knowledge, and oh, you need to read thousands of books and you will get more knowledge. No, you will not. Of course, there is nothing bad if you have time, and if it gives you pleasure, fine. I'm not advocating not reading books, and I don't say that the books are bad. But concerning growing knowledge, the books and studying books and going into the library and day by day reading thousands of books will not bring you more knowledge. Growing of the consciousness and releasing stress will bring you more knowledge and experience, of course. So you need both. You need the knowledge and you need the experience. And then you will see the knowledge around you in whatever kind of media. You can see it in a book, you can see it, you can hear the knowledge from someone who is not a professor, you can see it from a child who is saying something to you, and exactly that data is really necessary for you in that moment. Or from a friend, or read it in a newspaper, or watch it on the TV. So the information, the right information for you is floating all around you. Everything is there next to you. You only need to be alert and awake to see it, to be able to read it. And to be alert and awake more and more, we need to get more and more deep rest and release the stress and strain which are blocking our capability to read the information around us and inside us. All these impulses are all coming from within, inside the consciousness. So that it's very important to regularly do some kind of technique which is bringing deep rest, because only deep rest is able to release the stress I think that was it concerning the evolution of the living beings in the cosmos and the importance of being born in human physiology. And thank you very much for watching this little discussion about this topic. If you like the topic, please subscribe to the channel, like and share if you find it interesting. If you have some questions, you can search it on the net or put it up in a comment section. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.